Gavin Newsom says he's moving on from appearing on Joe Rogan's podcast. I want him to do it so badly.
Have you had Gavin Newsom on your phone?
No, he's been taunting me, trying to get me to have him on.
For years and years, he's been attacking me, and it's one way, and he won't have me on. He's consistently not having me on. By the way, I'm moving on. I have no interest.
You're done with him?
Joe Rogan's the Facebook of podcasting.
Hi everyone, JJ here, welcome back. Well, is Joe Rogan too afraid, too terrified, too chicken to debate Gavin Newsom on his podcast? Gavin Newsom seems to have given up. I don't think he has given up, really. I think he'd jump at the chance. But is Joe Rogan too scared? It really does seem like that. We're going to go through what each of them have said in different ways. And I really do think that Gavin Newsom would probably run rings around Joe Rogan in a debate. I mean, these guys are professional debaters, right? Politicians. But anyway, let's get into it. That first guy was Benny Johnson, MAGA influencer.
For years, Joe Rogan's used his enormous platform to convince people that California is some kind of post-apocalyptic wasteland where Gavin Newsom's the evil dictator burning it all down.
So that was American Redact again. They've done a video about this as well, but let's get into what Gavin Newsom says here on this very recent interview about this.
If he has a big audience, but he doesn't have big enough confidence, I didn't go there, to have me on.
Well, you've called him a chicken.
He's been attacking for... here's the thing. These guys, they all have something in common. It's one way. They attack, they belittle, they demean, they take things out of context. But this is a serious thing.
Yeah.
And so often we just sit back and go, oh, God, I really would love to go on. Oh, if Kamala Harris just went on Joe Rogan, she would have won. Yeah. It's not. It's so much deeper than that. And the unwillingness for a guy like that to even have the common courtesy to attack someone and not have the decency to say, you know what, why don't you have a chance to come on? Let's have a civil dialogue. I've watched you on podcasts with like Sean Ryan, who's a close buddy of his. He had the courage on me have 4 hours.
Right.
Now, I know a lot of people would like to see this. I would like to see this. Gavin Newsom and Joe Rogan together debating. It would be interesting at this point. Maybe Joe can be convinced of this. It would be entertaining. He'd get some good ratings and his viewership is dropping. He's had other politicians on there. It's just that he doesn't like people pushing back. He doesn't seem to have the sort of debating skills to do it, really. He likes to rant, though, doesn't he, about his own few subjects, and especially against California, which we're going to get into.
And so if I can go on Sean Ryan and Sean Hannity, what are you worried about? Joe, you're going to cook me, or I'm going to cook myself.
Is this Gavin Newsom saying that Joe Rogan's washed up? So the angle here is that Joe Rogan is scared and that Joe Rogan sucks. That's your angle? Your angle is that Joe Rogan's like dumb.
It's not a bad argument. So again, this is Benny Johnson here, MAGA influencer. Now, if you're thinking that Joe Rogan is pulling back from MAGA, look at what the MAGA people say about him. They use him as one of their influencers, still supporting, especially at Gavin Newsom, who, let's face it, is very likely to run to be the next president. So it is relevant for him to go on Joe Rogan.
Rogan has roasted Newsom a lot. Maybe this is why Newsom's not going on.
Apparently, they don't have any faith in Gavin Newsom.
Oh. Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because he wants to be president so bad.
That's true what it looks
but
like.
You can't ruin a city and then go on to ruin a state and say, guys, that was just practice.
I know.
Once I get it as a president, I'm going to fix it. Fix it all.
I mean, it's so crazy, but he's such a great politician. I mean,
no,
he's
not.
So smooth.
He's
you
not,
don't think
though.
so?
No.
Joe didn't like that.
No, I think he's terrible.
How's he remained in power for so long?
Low competition. There's no one who's good is competing against him. There's no sincerity.
I should say he's not a good. I should say he's smooth. He comes.
I mean,
he's
a good bullshit artist.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But it's like what the things that he says when he gets confronted with things. We're the highest this and the highest that. Like everybody's leaving.
Yeah.
You have the highest unemployment.
Yeah.
You have the highest homelessness.
Look what they did with Hollywood.
Money's missing. You killed Hollywood. Like Hollywood doesn't exist anymore.
Nothing to do with the rise of the internet and podcasts. Really, San Francisco, but still, again, in California, right?
This is the hottest thing they got going for him. Look at this, in millions of views. Joe Rogan is a snack-sized podcaster who can't stop talking about me. Obsessed. Crush? No, thank you. Let his audience hear the truth. Just like Dozy Don, he often chickens out. I've never had any problems with the guy and wish the mini host the best life. I'll come on and will help save the show and his plummeting ratings. Gavin Newsom. Signed, Gavin Newsom. So Joe Rogan had a response to this.
Yeah, when is he coming on? He's talking some shit on Twitter.
I know. It's like, you think that's going to work? Like, that's so stupid. Like, this is such a bad look. It's such a bad choice.
There's a little desperation in it.
But it's just stupid. It's like, this is a bad strategy. Like, I probably would have had him on.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, nah, what are you doing?
There is a fun version where you just do it and cook them.
As if Joe could do that. I mean, I'm not for one or the other here. I have been very critical of Joe Rogan, yes, but I could also be critical of Gavin Newsom. I'm not even in the US. So I don't have a stake in this game except for, this whole fall of democracy that seems to be happening in the US. And as I said, Gavin Newsom looks like he could run for president. I'm sure he will. He's gearing up for that, right? And, it's probably going to be the Democratic candidate. I don't really see who else they'd put up, but he's very mainstream, very corporate. But I would want to see this debate happen.
He'll cook himself.
I mean, that
He'll
seems
cook
to
himself.
be
All you have
already
to do
happening.
is just ask him questions.
Yeah, it's like, why are people leaving?
Well, why do you say this thing all the time where you rattle off all the good things about California? When everybody says something bad about California, it's like, #1 in Fortune 500 companies, #1 in higher education,
Yeah.
It was all that shit before you were there. I like how he's like trying to tweet as Trump. Like, you don't even have your own style. You're mocking his style to try to tweet.
I think it's quite funny. It's been pretty successful. Democrats have been pretty feckless at trying to counter Donald Trump as president, and his style is very entertaining, right? Funny. So this has worked, I think, so far. I mean, it might get a little bit old. Maybe it already has, but it has been interesting. And now he's doing it to Joe Rogan as well. I mean, he helped get Trump elected, right? There's no doubt about that. These big podcasters did, which is one of the reasons that Gavin would want to get onto his show. And he knows that he could probably do well against Joe Rogan in some sort of debating about politics. And it would be a California versus Texas thing because Joe, got out of California and has been very critical.
He's also making things up like California derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
No, it's like, these are facts.
I'm not afraid to go. I'm punching Joe Rogan, okay? That son of a bitch not used to that. And he's going to dismiss it. He's going to laugh it off. I mean, tough guy, all that. But he's going to have me on? I don't know.
Have you had Gavin Newsom on your phone?
No, he's been taunting me, trying to get me to have him on. Why?
I don't know, because he's interesting. You think he's
interesting? He's interesting as like a sociology experiment. Like if you're a psychologist.
I mean, you talk to everyone, I think.
But look, he's been attacking me for years and years and years and won't have me on the show. Joe, why won't you have me on the show? He won't have me on the show. It's a one way. And he has guests coming and attacking and bashing, but he will not have me on the show, period. Full stop. He should have me on the show. I've never had a beef. I have no issues with him, but he has developed deep issues and animus with me.
By the way, while I think of it, Joe Rogan has, his content management company, when I've used clips of him before, has demonetized the video, and I hope they don't do that to this because I think it's definitely fair use. This is newsworthy, commenting on news, so if you're out there looking at this, please don't do that. This is not just talking about comedy, this is calling about politics, and this could be the next president of the United States we're talking about here.
Real America, Tom. That's what I was telling you.
I know.
You're living in this bullshit, liberal, communist, Marxist, phony state. It's a nation state, and it's controlled by a dictator named Gavin Newsom, and he wants you to be poor.
Why would he want me to be poor?
Because he wants more hair. He wants to use your money to grow his hair thicker.
So it's a well-known fact that Joe Rogan is one of Gavin Newsom's biggest haters. Like, making fun of him is one of Joe's favorite pastimes. And it happens so often that you could almost say that Joe has an obsession with bashing California and Gavin Newsom, which in all fairness to Joe isn't wrong for him to do. With a platform as big as Rogan's, a lot of people would actually want Joe to be critical of people in the government. And better yet, they'd love for Joe to have these people on the show to challenge them in real time for everyone to see.
Yeah, I think that's a good point by American Redact there, that people want to see that. This is part of the cycle, right? The political cycle. Joe's got a massive show to have other politicians on the show, especially, MAGA politicians, and, platform them and not push back at all. He really should do this because of the responsibility that he does have as one of the biggest podcasters in the world.
Both sides of the political spectrum would just love this debate to happen, but the fact of the matter is that Joe is completely terrified of having anyone on the podcast that would give him any serious pushback, especially when it comes to the topics that Joe claims he's an expert in, because the last thing Joe wants is for his mortal enemy to demonstrate why Joe Rogan never graduated from college. Newsom would run laps around Joe in a debate, and everyone, including Joe, knows this, which is why he's terrified of having him on.
I mean, I got no beef with him. He's got a beef with me. Attack my state. I think there's a California derangement syndrome.
Yeah, so this would be interesting to talk about on there. If they just talked about this in the studio, it would be pretty entertaining and definitely newsworthy, right? And this is why I think that Joe is legitimately afraid of this, of looking like a fool. Why doesn't he do it?
He's part of it. I mean, I think people are obsessed with focusing on what's wrong with the state and not what's right with the state. I mean, you have more scientists, engineers, more researchers, more Nobel laureates in the state than any other state in the nation. We're the fourth largest economy in the world, $4.1 trillion. We're the finest system of higher education that addresses the issue of equity better than any other public education system in the world.
So Joe would have to bone up on these points. It's no secret what Newsom would say here, and Joe would have to counter with his own points. He'd have to do a bit of homework. He'd have to cut back on his recreational activities and actually do some homework to try and have a decent conversation, a decent debate, where it would end up being like California versus Texas, or blue states versus red states, that kind of debate of who is doing better, which Newsom does touch on.
We dominate in every category, name it. We're the biggest manufacturing state, biggest farming state, ranchers and hunting jobs, which is interesting.
Hunting jobs, so Rogan's a hunter, so that's definitely aimed at Rogan. Come on, we'll talk about hunting. We'll say how good California is at that. What are you doing in Texas?
Dominate in AI and quantum and fusion in every key category. The quality of life here consistently, and you look at the top 10 cities in the United States of America consistently, the top 5 are identified in the state of California, and we invent the future. It happens here first. We're the most diverse state in the world's most diverse democracy. We're a majority minority state. 27% of this state is foreign born, and that offends a lot of people.
You think Joe Rogan has a problem?
I don't know. I said of his, that tend to align sometimes with him. I didn't say him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I don't know. I haven't heard Joe Rogan say things about that, but as he said, people are aligned with them, like Elon Musk and a lot of the MAGA people. They really don't like California for this, for the diversity. I mean, you get the feeling that it's kind of white nationalist, white Christian nationalist. The MAGA movement really has become. And so they don't like the way that California is, and it must irk them. I mean, Trump sent in the troops, right, for really no good reason to blue states, including California and Los Angeles being the first.
But some folks in the far right, the primetime lineup at Fox, for example, that's almost made a living out of trying to tear down California. And it makes sense because everything they're promoting runs contrary to what California is doing and how we're succeeding. How do we continue to thrive despite all of their rhetoric? I mean, look at across the board, productivity, wages in the state of California dominate compared to other red states. The biggest murder states in America are red states, 8 of the top 10. Dependency. You talk about dependency. Texas is a taker state. California in 2023, $83.1 billion. We gave more to the federal government than we received. Texas took $71.1 billion.
The crime would probably come up because Trump's been saying that. That's the reason that he sent in troops. Supposedly, the crime is out of control, like it's like a war zone, but the reality is not that. So that could be part of the debate with Rogan, if Rogan could actually keep up.
I mean, so I could go down the list as it relates to deaths of despair, as it relates to loneliness, lower wages, higher death rates, higher infant mortality, maternal mortality, lower life expectancy, all in these red states compared to the blue states. And their state of mind is just dominantly criticizing the most vibrant and dynamic state in America.
Well, how do you feel about the fact that right now we're, in the middle of a massive affordability problem. And
this is a point that Joe Rogan could address if they did debate the affordability in California. Although Joe, became rich in California, he was fine, obviously, but people do find affordability problems in California, as they do in many other places in the world, like in Canada and Vancouver. That's been a problem. Here in New Zealand, that's been a problem. In Auckland, we had a housing bubble that's sort of coming back a little bit, but still, there are affordability problems all over the place. So California isn't alone there, but that's something that he should address, because I've seen a lot of people from LA and San Francisco in particular talking about how expensive it is there. I mean, you have to have high salaries, high wages for people to be able to live there when real estate, when housing is so expensive, right?
California is the tip of the spear for that. 15% of California residents right now can afford the average home
been that way
in
for
California.
Decades. It's a major crisis.
I mean, when you hear the things that Joe Rogan is saying, and we on this podcast battle back and forth with Joe Rogan and that type of politic and that thinking all the time. But when you hear that, there is a cohort of people that feel like the state is too expensive for them. They can't live the American dream here. They can't afford a home here. And that could have explained some of the exodus that you saw to places like Austin or Florida or the places like that.
I think Austin's becoming more expensive because people have been going there.
Well, we per capita, more Floridians moving to California than Californians moving to Florida. Mm-hmm. Our population's been growing over year to year. I mean, he's just making that stuff up. That's why he don't want me on the show.
Right. Specifically to affordability of homes and things like that. What
now, on the issue of affordability, it explains more things in more ways on more days about problems in California. Issues of housing, supply-demand imbalance. Been that case for decades now. We're as dumb as we want to be. We've got to get out of our own way. We got to build more damn housing. That's why I literally tied my budget last year to the most significant housing reforms in California history.
Okay, so what do you think about this? Let me know in the comments. And this is a new way of commenting, voice message. I played a good one in the last video, and I really want to hear from you. Anything that you want to say, ask me a question, comment on this video in voice form. What do you think about this Joe Rogan versus Gavin Newsom? Should he have him on the show? What do you think of Joe? Is he being scared about this? Let me know what you think. And right now, I'm going to put a related video on screen. Do go and see that now if you want to. If you're watching on YouTube, we're on Spotify as well. Do follow over there. We're getting more and more views over there lately, so that's great. Now, also, I'm going to put a subscribe link on screen. Do subscribe here. And thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one.